sing. Okay? All right? Help me. All right? Okay? Jesus, keep me near the cross. Be and rest whenever keep me near the cross and rest be unto you, Lord.
Good morning, everyone. So I wrote some down today so I can make sure I'm speaking out my words. So first and foremost, I want to thank my family and friends who have been there for me during this difficult time. And also everyone here today that has took their time out their day to come show respect to my grandfather, also known as Pawpaw. My Pawpaw was a true definition of strength, wisdom, and unconditional love, especially behind his grandchildren and his great grandchildren. My papa never missed a beat when it came to our birthdays or our holidays. But guess who would be the one to have to get the gifts? Me. I didn't mind though because I was gonna step every time for my kid, nieces, and nephews. Mind you, there's six great grandchildren plus my mom, brother, and myself. We had a dollar limit, however, it really didn't. He really didn't care because it wasn't about the money. When it came to my papa, it was real unconditional love. My papa would check in every day. I mean, every day. From the good morning text messages, calling me saying, get that girl to school, to where's the Brady Bunch. Whether it was through quiet advice, his grumpy cat ways, or the little jokes he shared, he left a mark on me that I'll carry forever. I'll always remember the way he made people feel like they matter, and I'm so grateful for every moment he had. We had. I was praying and hoping my papa could have held a little longer to watch me walk the stage. But God had other plans. I must say, he held on for his grand and great grandchildren. He expressed that to me, and I knew that was true definition unconditional love. Thank you, Pawpaw, for the love and legacy you leave behind. Forever Army Strong and forever Southeast Apache. Thank you, the Murrays. Go Cowgirls, as he would say. Love you, Pawpaw.
Okay, family and friends. At this time, if there's anyone that has any remarks that they'd like to give, this microphone is set up right here. Or if you don't want to talk in front of the mic, you can stand where you are and speak whatever it is you want. They say 2 minutes, but whatever, we good.
My leg almost gave up. I only got two instances I want to share real quick. Uh, the last time I seen my uncle Ronnie, Um, he hadn't seen me in a while, and he was upstairs at his apartments. And I was walking down the sidewalk by the gazebo. He was like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, Uncle Ronnie." He squinted his eyes and he's like, "Who is that?" I said, "It's me, Monica." He's like, "You sure got fat." I'm looking at him like, "Okay." I said, "Well, dang." I said, "I didn't even get a how you doing." He was like, "How you doing?" Like, oh. And he was funny like that. And another instant, I was probably like in my early 30s, late 20s, something like that. And he always got on me because of the clothes I wore. Man, if you know me, I don't even have to explain it. But he was always getting on me about my clothes. So one day he seen me, I had this big duffel bag, had my little heels on, had my little clothes going. And he said, "Where you going?" "You look like you going to the strip club." I said, "Well, I am." And he said, "You kidding, right?" I said, "No, Uncle Ronnie, I'm really going to the strip club." He said, "Well, you dressed just right." I was like, he said, "One of these days you gonna put some clothes on." I said, "Well, right now I'm going to make some money. So I can't, I mean," he was like, "You know what, you girls gonna learn. Y'all gonna learn." And I said, "It's cause you love me." He said, "Go on and get out of here." So I was like, yeah, he loved me. He always seemed mean to people that don't know him, that didn't know him. He just had a funny way of showing you that he loved you. It wasn't always something really sweet or, "Oh, look at your little cute No, that wasn't his way. His way was stern, but he never let you forget that he loved you. It's the best memories I have right now. Thank you.
You know I'm not a speaker, so I'm gonna get up here and be real quick. But uh, Lord have mercy, I've been knowing you since third grade. That's a long time to have a friendship, and not just a friendship, but family. Not blood, but we're sisters, no matter what. And growing up with you, I grew up with your mom and your dad. Linda and Ronnie was like second to me of what I knew. So when your mom passed, that was hard for me too to understand at 14 years old. So your dad always stepped in to play a dad whenever I was around, treated me like I was his child. And you know, there's a guy in Delcrest that everybody knows, and then they see him walking on WY. He got a mask. They know who he is. He's been there for years and still doing it to this day. When I think of Ronnie, there are two things on my mind because I always have seen him in those places. One is Little Fish Factory that he ought to own stock in, and the second one is that Copernicus Field for Southeast Apaches. Your dad will always be remembered for those two things, and on top of many other things that he did in his lifetime. But I don't care where he was on that field, if he was in at that fish factory. If I walked in, I got greeted. "Do you need anything? Do you want anything? Let me know. How's your family doing?" I will never forget that from your dad. And know he left a legacy like that. That Apache field is your dad. That's what I remember. He be on that field before we get there, and he be the last one to leave that field to make sure them kids left okay. So you know that about your dad. We are family, Kiki and Buster. I am here as your auntie. I may not get to talk to you every day, but I am a phone call away, and my kids are a phone call away from y'all too. So y'all remember that. I'm always gonna be auntie, okay? And I love y'all. Thank you.
How y'all doing? I'm Palace Clack, a friend of the family and a former Apache player. You know, the lady's right. We would always see him walking. You know, they say when you walk, you're going to live for a long time. And you know, they say, I'm paraphrasing, 3 score and 10, 7 score and 10, you know, you're blessed. He was past 70 years old, so he was blessed, you know what I'm saying? So, and you know, I seen something up in there that I did like. He had some bones up in there, some dominoes up in there. So I'm a youngster with an old soul, so I told the family, nobody ever told me that, and I'm mad at my grandma. She never told me that. You know, I always play domino. She's a spades champ, so she they get serious on that spades table. You know what I'm saying? If anybody know about that center on District 2, them two ladies right there, they the champs in them spades. But nobody ever told me he played bones, man. I'm mad at that, man. You know what I'm saying? Buster, I'm mad at you, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I was just playing. But you know, he was stern. He told it like it was. He ain't never fed no frog for no snake. So you know, he ain't, you know, but he always has some wisdom for your brain, you know what I'm saying? Some words to live by. And I'ma sure miss him. And like, you know, he in that suit right there. All I'm gonna say is catch him in that 3-piece suit. All right, thank y'all.
Okay. Hi. My name's Taylor. I'm Kenneth Vaughn's daughter. I don't know if you guys know him from the Apaches. Yeah. Um, him and my dad were very messy. Okay. When I say messy, I mean in everybody's business. We'll call you and tell everybody business, but won't tell theirs. But I just wanted to say my dad died 2 years ago while I was 2 months pregnant. And I just remember Uncle Ronnie called me every day. And if it wasn't every day, it was every other day up until the funeral. And just called, they wouldn't even talk about nothing. It was just checking on me because he knew I needed that. And I'm sorry you guys are going through this. I understand how y'all feel because it's 2 years later and it still hurts. But God is with y'all. Uncle Ronnie's with y'all. My crazy dad is with y'all. And you know, I'm here for whatever y'all need, regardless. But I just wanted to say something about him because he really was a good person. Even when I would come out to the field with my dad, if my daddy didn't give me no money, it was Uncle Ronnie, Uncle Jerry, Uncle Bobby, all of them. So just want to say, praying for you guys, love you guys, and I'm here if you need anything. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tati, Ronnie's niece. It's hard. This is. I love Uncle Ronnie, and any chance I got, I made sure when I see my grandmother, I see him too. Um, One thing I remember is Uncle Ronnie said he was gonna pay me to clean his house, so that way I can have tuition money for college. And even though he wouldn't let me touch anything, he said, "Don't move that. I need that right there." I said, well, "Uncle Ronnie, let me just clean it up just a little bit." He said, "No, don't touch that." I said, "What's the point of me coming to clean?" He just this okay, I'll just come and look at you, which is fine. Um, just like Kiki, um, I asked him to come to my graduation, and he said, "Yeah," because I was doing something with myself, and I love him for that. And yeah, he was a little messy. I was messy with him. um, we'd sit up there and I'd be like, "Uncle Ronnie, you don't want to go outside and sit with nobody? You know, everybody outside. The weather's nice." He said, "I don't want to sit with them folks." No, they messy. They tell each other business, smoking that dope. I'm like, oh. I said, "Well, who? You know, who is out here dating and who's doing what?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't worry about their business because their business ain't my business. I said, okay. He said, I just stay away from 'em. I don't want that mess. He was very, very particular about how he did things. And I appreciated that. I really did, because I feel like there were times where I needed to tighten up on a few things, and I could always go to him and get that from him. And I remember the last time we talked, and he called me, and I said, Uncle Ronnie, you called? He said, I did. I ain't mean to call you. I said, oh, you don't love me or something? He said, no, I do, but let me call you later. I said, okay. And he'd call me back and be like, you called me? I didn't call you, Uncle Ronnie. It's okay. It's all right. If you want to talk to me, just say that. But that man has a way of leaving an impact on people, which we can see. And if you knew him, then you knew. If he was hard on you, he loved you. He loved you. You wasn't going to get a smile out of him, but he loved you if he cared enough to be like, you need to get your stuff together. So, with that being said, I hope y'all carry that with y'all like I will. So, Kiki, yes, we will be crossing them stages, and we will be making him proud. I just ask that y'all carry that with y'all. Okay?
Good morning. I didn't know if I was going to say anything. My name is Leonard Young. I'm a former Apache president, and all of these Apaches, I hadn't seen a lot of you in a long time. I met Ronnie 20-something years ago, and got to know him. We actually went to nationals in Florida, and I was sharing with Annette, this guy was out there, 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, we'd look out, we stayed in Disney, and we'd look out, and there'd be a guy sitting on a toadstool making a phone call. In Florida, you couldn't get real good connections at that time, so he's calling home at 12 o'clock, Florida time, checking on his family. Ronnie, over 20 years, you talk about Ronnie walking, from June until January, I was with Ronnie Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Leaving the football field, taking him home, picking him up, taking him home. We had a lot of opportunities to talk. Ronnie came across as this tough guy and whatever, the sergeant and whatever, and I'm a former Marine, so we'd get into it. Ronnie would talk about how tough he is, but his heart was soft as Alabama cotton. When it came to Annette, Kiki, Buster, Ronnie would always, we'd always talk on holidays, and we tried to at least talk every 2 weeks. And sometime it would be 10 minutes, sometime it would be 2 hours. And we'd talk. One thing Ronnie would always do, never call me to talk about his problem. He would call to check to see how I was doing. He would ask me about my family, my kids. He knew my kids. I knew his daughter, his grandkids, and we'd talk about those. And then we started talking about politics and other things. He never called. You know, you have these friends who call you, hey man, how you doing? You got 100 you can loan me, or 50, what? Ronnie never asked for anything. Never. As long as I knew, he was not that type of a guy. The way that he treated the kids and other coaches and volunteers with the Apaches, he just asked Ronnie. Tell him, you know, we're going to do this. What time? He'd say, what time do I need to be there? Young, what time can you pick me up? You know, are you buying lunch? Or are you buying breakfast, you know, when we go through? But, and that Kiki, Buster, we understand what you're going through. We here can't control that. We have to try to understand that. We all went through losses. We're here for you. All of these Apaches I know. You make a phone call, they'll be there. We're with you, and give me a call anytime. You know that. Thank you.
him from District 2 because he loved to go up in there and play dominoes and play cards and talk a lot of trash. He talked a lot of trash. Unfortunately, I didn't have the gift of playing dominoes. I didn't like dominoes. So he kind of left me to the side, but I learned I'm a card player. I learned that from my mother. I'm good at cards. I'm coming from now. But my words of comfort are really just to say, you know, when I retired from cutting hair, his lovely right here became his barber. I am grateful to her. Somebody I knew, I felt uncomfortable with that. I didn't have to worry about was she gonna mess up my daddy hair. You know, I appreciate that. All of y'all had intricate parts in his life, and he enjoyed every one of y'all. He called her every morning, get up, good morning, good morning, good morning. I can look at his phone, and any of you all that may have texted him, and I say, who is this? That's because he didn't put people's name in his phone, so forgive me if it sounded odd. But I seen in his phone so many numbers of people. He just said, good morning, good morning, good morning. We didn't always get along, me and my dad. We would fight and fuss and not talk to each other and all that there. But at the end of the day, there were people that would tell me, yeah, you were the apple of his eye. I had no idea. Who would have thought? When I became an adult and I had my children, he wasn't worried about me no more. He wanted to pour into these two. What do they need when it was time for school and uniforms? Because you know at that time it had to be uniforms. I bought half, he bought the other half. School supplies, we'd be right out there at Fort Sam buying all them school supplies, boxes of them. He loved his grandchildren. Then when the great grands came, oh, he couldn't get enough of them. Especially when now this new technology stuff, and he FaceTime all of them all the time. It was his thing. He loved children. And he loved sports. If you knew my daddy, he was a sports fanatic. And I knew why I was to a certain degree because I remember coming along, him in the military, him coaching basketball teams for the military. He had a team. And I remember they used to wear red and white. I remember this. I remember being on the court as a 4-year-old just standing there with basketball. I remember my dad was a basketball official, which in turn made me want to be one. And now my son is carrying that on. And hopefully the grandchildren will carry it on. But his favorite was an umpire. He loved being an umpire for baseball. And of course he tried to get me, I was like, that's scary. The ball comes too fast. So I couldn't do that. That's a little scary. Wearing all that down, like, nah, I can't do it. But words of encouragement is, y'all keep pushing. Keep pushing, live your life to the fullest. Apologize when you need to. Learn from your mistakes and move on. And just keep it pushing, keep joy in your heart. Don't be angry because it's not going to serve you. He wasn't angry when he left this world. He was not. When we would go visit him, he was still talking trash, but it wasn't, you know, you just talking, he would just be that way. He couldn't help himself. And sometimes I'd be like, I can put this pillow over your face and we can end this. It was a joke. He knew it. And that's when he would kind of straighten it out. I'd be like, and roll his eyes at you. I can't believe I'm here, y'all. I didn't expect it. I was hoping and hoping a little longer, a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. So if all hearts are clear and all minds are clear, my soul is well. We are well. My soul's so well. We're good. Whatever issues you have within yourself or your family, work it out. In due time, we will work it all out. We'll 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 work it all out. You understand? One thing my daddy said, They was buddies. Uncle Kenneth got beat up by my mama. He never told me. And from that point on, Uncle Kenneth met my dad through my mother, and they was thick as thieves. They used to go to, what was that club? The Clocks. All them little jit joints right around up in there. You see a lot of jit joints over there with St. Philip's College. They was all up in there. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But, yeah, all of that. But at some point, all that went away. And he decided, it's time for me to do what I need to do. We came first. We came first. Again, like I said, we didn't always get along, we didn't always see eye to eye, but what family do? If family don't have a little discord, you're not gonna like me all the time. You're not gonna like me all the time. But I know you love me. 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 Listen, we fight, and we do. Physically too. Yes, we did. But guess what? I will never ever not be there for her. She will never ever not be there for me. As well as my children. Our children grew up together. This is what we know. This is what we know. So, I'll ramble if y'all don't stop. So I am going to stop. And anybody else got anything you want to say? If not, enjoy the music and the photos. And if you want to come and pay any more regards, you may. That's all I got for today. Oh, and we love him some Eyewitness News back there. He used to live across the street from us. And Carlos, God rest his soul. He sat there every day, looking at him, watching him, everything. And Ronnie would be like, Eyewitness News. Everybody had a nickname. Every one of y'all had a nickname. Oh yeah, Angelique was Corpus Christi. Everybody had a nickname. And I want to thank you, Miss Dee. My daddy went to the hospital at Fort Sam some time ago before this last bout. And I went in there and I was like, hey. He said, yeah, girl, your daddy in there. I'm looking out for him. I said, I didn't have to worry. He had me. That's that Apache love, you understand? And at the same time, he must have touched her some kind of way in life and made her want to look out for him. Amen. I thank you for that, baby. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We don't talk every day, but baby, when my daddy was up in there, she made sure. Hallelujah. And every time I went in there, you were like, did you see Dee? I was like, yeah, I saw you. Yeah. And so, yeah, I appreciate you going to visit my daddy. I do. I appreciate that. I didn't have to do it by myself. My children didn't have to do it by themselves. Hallelujah. So every one of you all that took the time to go see him when he was in the nursing home and the hospital, I appreciate that. When you went to see him when he was in hospice care, I appreciate that. You have no idea. And he appreciated it too. Yes. He enjoyed it. Yeah. He wanted to make sure he wasn't alone and that nobody didn't care, but I think he realized he was cared for more than he knew. Yeah. Sometimes we just don't know until we're on our back. Yeah. And he was on his back. And all of you all that reached out and said, Annette, are you okay? Do you need anything? Blase, blase. I appreciate that. And if I missed your call or I didn't respond to you,